What is up there everyone, it's the guy from the Gamertag here, and today I wanted to talk about the 2015 Call of Duty, because a lot of people want Treayrch to make World War 2 or at least a World War themed game. And I wanted to share my opinions on this because there are actually some things that I get the appeal of World War games. There's something about the weapons, it's just got an appeal to it, because when I played Black Ops 2 Zombies, Mob of the Dead and Origins really stood out to me just because of the weaponry you got to use. It just had a cool aesthetic to it, and that is one of the things I do like, even though World at War was, for some people, nicknamed World of Green and Brown. Now, one issue with it is that you will of course have a lack of customization in the game, because they wouldn't have had like stock attachments, they wouldn't have had like loads of optical attachments simply because they hadn't been invented then. So you will have a lack of customization, which will for some people detract from the experience, and you may find that there's a lot less variety in a World War game than you would have in future games. But at the same time, for shooters in general, the AAA titles, we've been in the modern warfare / future era for quite a while now, and it does kind of feel almost like grindish, where it's just like, yeah, we're still doing the sort of same thing, we want something different. And also, one thought that has popped into my head, which I think is actually quite an important point, is would it be inappropriate? Because as you will probably all know, the centenary of World War 1 started in 2014, as it had been 100 years since the war broke out. And would it actually be inappropriate to make a World War, at least a World War 1 game, at a time when it is 100 years since this war was going on? Because in some ways it's very hard to make a first-person shooter without glorifying war. In fact, there was a news reporter who had been in Syria, and he'd been doing a lot of reporting in Syria, came back to find his children had been playing these shooter games and was for some reason in love with the idea of war because the way these games glorified it, and he had to go to some sort of, well, semi-drastic measures to show his children what war is really like. And that's one of the main problems, is how would a developer capture the war to actually show how horrific it was? Because as much as you don't want to upset your consumers, you can't go around glorifying war, because that's only going to cause more upsets than if you actually show the severity of the actual conflict. And it brings into question, are all war games inappropriate? Because if you think about it, there are very few that don't glorify war. In recent years, some games have kind of gone into more moral aspects, trying to show you that some people fight for what's right and that good people can fight for wrong causes. But it's a case of, are they still inappropriate? Do they still glorify war way more than they really should? Because you do get these moments, they're sort of movie cinematic moments where it's like, yeah, this is awesome, and it kind of can sometimes mess with your head a bit, and you will not always appreciate that this is complete rubbish and it's not what it's really like. Like if you shoot someone in a game, you don't have to worry about who else that affects, because they're not even a real thing. That's just a bunch of numbers and a colour palette. Whereas if you were to kill someone in real life, you would have, well, at least for me personally, I would have a lot of mental problems with that, because I personally would feel that I would have to bear the weight of the person, which is why I never plan on I try and avoid harming anything or anyone, let alone killing anyone, and I really hope in my lifetime I never have to get into that scenario. But that's kind of gone a bit off topic, but I just thought that, is it inappropriate to make a World War game? In fairness, it's not particularly appropriate to make a war game in general, because they glorify it too much. But anyway guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. It's just an important topic that I thought really did need covering about the 2015 Call of Duty, if it is going to be a World War game, because it is quite a moral issue that really will need to be addressed. And if they are going to make a game, they really need to convey the sincerity of the actual conflict, because it is a very serious event in history that doesn't need any sugarcoating on it. But anyway guys, I do hope you enjoyed. This has been the guy from the Gamertag, and I will see you on another video.